picture of yourself and thought, wow, I'm so beautiful. I wish I could look like this forever. Well, you probably haven't, but the fine specimen that is Mr. Dorian Gray has. Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray tells a story of three characters who explore themselves in the 19th century aristocratic society. For more on this novel, we go to Sam.
All right, I'm here with world-renowned author Oscar Wilde. Oscar, how are you doing today?
I'm doing swell, darling.
Great, so tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the novel.
Well, thank you for asking. I was born in Dublin, Ireland in 1854. I was born into an upper-class Victorian society. My father was a renowned surgeon and writer. My mother was the daughter of a renowned lawyer. And my godfather was the king of Sweden. Anyways, before writing novels, I used to write poetry. And people say I'm a very flamboyant dresser.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about your one and only novel.
Okay, I wrote my first version of Dorian Gray in 1890 for Lippincott's Monthly Magazine. But in 1891, I released a full version with 6 extra chapters to the public. It was my only novel, you know. Anyways, I wrote it as a commentary on the decadent art movement that was happening at the time. It was quite a criticism just between you and me, darling.
So, how does this compare to your previous work, such as Vera or The Nephilists?
It doesn't. This is a novel. Those were plays.
You don't know the difference?
That's all from me. Now it's back to our anchor.
Well, it just so happens that these were brought to us by the Decadent era and the rise of aestheticism in the end of the 19th century. In this era, people valued materialistic qualities and human creativity over logic. Along with these ideas, the Decadent era brought many forms of art in the form of paintings, literature, and clothing.
The Picture of Dorian Gray was by far the least influential novel of this literary movement, titled The Decade of Decadence, which is noted to start in the late 18th century and moved until around the early 1910s. This decade protested against realism and naturalism and can be characterized by major themes such as sickness, decay, perversion, artificiality, and aestheticism. Other notable authors, more important than Oscar, are Charles Baudelaire, a French poet who wrote poems, Ernest Dowson, an English poet who wrote poems, and Arthur Symons, a British poet who wrote poems. Let's meet the characters. Hi, I'm Dorian Gray. Look at this wonderful painting of me.
Hello, my name is Basil. I love painting.
Good evening. I am Lord Henry. It often happens that the real tragedies of life occur in such an inartistic manner that they hurt us by their crude violence, their absolute incoherence.
Okay,
their absurd...
thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful man you are painting. This is one of my best works. No, Dorian, you must leave. You cannot be ruined by this man.
Spoiler alert, he does. Silence, modern interviewer. Wow, what a beautiful man you are. Come to dinner with me.
Okay.
The two men went to dinner together and became the best of friends. One day when they were back at Basil's studio, the most curious conversation occurred.
Beauty fades. One day you will be ugly.
Oh, great heavens!
I wish this painting could grow old and I could stay young forever.
Just like that, his wish came true. How does he do it? Is it strange magic? A curse? Did he sell his soul? Who knows? English society sure did speculate. As Dorian got older, his face did the same, yet the portrait grew uglier and uglier. He sinned, he betrayed, he murdered, yet it never showed on his beautiful, youthful face. He was stuck in a conflict between morality and sin, between good and evil. The first victim of his turmoil was a young actress named Sybil. Sybil loved Dorian, and Dorian loved Sybil. They were engaged to be married.
Romeo, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? Yeah. Love, Romeo. Wow, your girlfriend sucks.
I know, she does.
Because of this performance, Dorian dumps Sybil. She professes her endless love, yet he leaves her anyway. She ends up killing herself, beginning Dorian's spiral in an endless cycle of corruption.
I am James Vane, a sailor. Dorian Gray, you have killed my sweet sister. Prepare to die.
As time progresses, Dorian loses sight of himself as he dives further into his conflict between good and evil. He betrays some of his dearest friends. pawns falling in the palm of his decaying life. Dorian's vanity takes on the lives of everyone around him, including Henry and Basil. His life serves as a reminder of the dangers of vanity, as highlighted by Wilde throughout the novel.
Yes, Wilde criticizes vanity and the 19th century aristocratic society that he himself grew up in. One way he does this is by showing how society leads to the corruption of innocence. Before Dorian was exposed to that society, he was known to be a great man, but Lord Henry, who can represent society as a whole, made him change his values to that of where his very existence revolves around vanity. Another important topic mentioned in the novel is the never-ending presence of the past and how that can impact the future. Dorian's past into the choice to alter his youth. This is seen with the presence of James Vane towards the end of the novel, who still seeks revenge for his sister's death, which was caused by Dorian's past actions. This causes Dorian to be reminded of his past and how his corruption all started with Sybil Vane, and turned him into the monster that he is now today.
Throughout the novel, the presence of Lord Henry's commentary serves to shock and enrage the audience, which at the time was the upper middle class, displaying the stylistic aspects of the time period. The literary community wanted to challenge traditional trends in materialism and shallow vanity, and the picture of the Dorian Gray is a perfect example. Wilde comments on the material values of rich English society and the relevance of them in the long run, as well as the irreparable damage it can cause. He very clearly criticized bourgeois morality and its focus on beauty and material goods. He also made a comment on the purpose of art in society, whether or not it has meaning beyond aesthetics. He argues that it does. The novels Dorian receives from Henry, as well as the painting of Dorian himself. Pieces of art have major impacts on the life of Dorian Gray. This can be alluded to the beliefs of Wilde himself. Now, let's hear from James Vane himself in regards to the theories about his character.
Hello James, how are you today?
I don't know, but I sure do hate Dorian Gray.
You've mentioned. Anyways, some readers have theorized that your presence in the late novel was fictional and none more than a projection of Dorian's tortured conscience. What do you have to say about this?
No comment. I don't know how to answer that.
It's said that you were a flat character at the beginning of the novel and not capable of seeking revenge for the death of his sister, let alone tracking down Dorian himself. Are you just a haunting? Are you just a product of Dorian's opium trip? You must tell us.
Did you just call me flat? I'm insulted.
Well then, there are many theories and symbols deeper meanings within the text of the novel. Another one was theorized about the significance of the yellow book that was gifted to Dorian by Henry. One could say that this symbolized Dorian's ruin and his deterioration into conflict and morality driven by the influence of Henry. It became almost a scripture to Dorian, and he obsessed over the art piece to the point where it changed him forever. Art can do damage, and the projection of beliefs can be irreparable. A theme much explored throughout the work. Now let's hear once again from Mr. Wilde, who will tell us a little bit about style within his novel. Hello again, Mr. Wilde. So in your novel, you describe Dorian to be imprisoned in thought, memory, like a horrible malady that was eating his soul away, end quote. What did you mean by this?
Well, darling, that is a perfect example of simile and personification, if I may say so myself. I utilize this figurative language to dramatize Dorian's emotions and to emphasize his corruption. However, through the dimension of eating his soul away, I'm emphasizing the conflict within him, the battle between good and evil.
Interesting. How about the quote, "The next day he did not leave the house, and indeed spent most of the time in his own room, sick with a wild terror of dying, yet indifferent to life itself." How can one be indifferent to life itself, yet still be afraid of death?
I didn't have a lot of questions, lady, but I will oblige. The utilization of dramatic irony as well as exaggeration, I'm further emphasizing Dorian's internal conflict, as well as making a statement in regards to morality. Dorian has no value of his own life, no sense of purpose. He is sick of society's standards upon him, and tired of conforming to tradition. However, he is terrified of life after death, of what awaits him beyond, of his sins coming back to haunt him, of punishment of his wrongdoings. So, basically, lady, he didn't want to be alive, why did he want to be dead? Does that make sense?
Okay, yes? Alright, we are moving on. Lastly, what about the quote, "A feeling of pain crept over him as he thought of the desolation that was in store for the fair face on the canvas."
Lady, it's desecration. Anyways, through personifying pain, I emphasize the influence that the painting has on Dorian's thoughts. He was obsessed with how his actions would affect the painting, with how his soul was plastered upon it. It haunted him. like a constant reminder of every mistake he makes.
Thank you.